They said there was no cancel culture in comics. They told me I was barking up the wrong tree, that I was being an alarmist, that I would never be a real boy. They were wrong. All right, here's the thing. All in the same day, you've seen the full circle of life as it happens on the internet because everyone is a keyboard cop. That's going to be my new term. I heard that. I'll show you where. A keyboard cop everywhere online now. Here's Remfamous. I don't like to talk about Remfamous because that's just exactly what she wants, but I got to show you this full circle complete here, okay? Now, I saw this happen in real time. Billy Tucci was floating the idea on Twitter of using IndieGoGo solely for his next campaign and not using Kickstarter so that he could drive all of his fans to IndieGoGo and have one massive success on his hands with the next she-book. I'm assuming the next she-book. And when he said that, a representative from IndieGoGo was kind enough to respond and say, yeah, Billy, if you come over and do your book over here at IndieGoGo, we'll make sure to help you promote it as well. Sounds like a win-win situation, or that's what normal people would think. But no, that's never good enough because I partially feel responsible for this. I retweeted that response from the IndieGoGo representative because I thought, hey, that's a nice thing to say. To which more people responded, kind responses. Tug, that umbrella guy, responded, and then come the internet activists. The lowest possible life form of the internet is an internet activist. Remfamous then starts guilting along with the rest of her posse that have nothing better to do apparently except for police the internet. And so she came by and started trying to shame. She said, why are representatives of IndieGoGo actively courting members of a hate group? So nice that IndieGoGo representative to offer to take care of someone who promoted his last IGG campaign with the art of his character holding a severed head. Wow, that really jumped a shark right there. For the record, Billy Tucci, he didn't do anything to Remfamous. She's referring to Tug chiming in a very positive way. Had literally nothing to do with anything. So, of course, she has to insert herself. That's right. She said, did he just delete his entire Twitter account? Yes, that's because you and your friends live for attacking people on Twitter. That's why Twitter's use for a business platform to make connections and to actually say things out loud has become seriously hampered because of you, frankly. And look, someone even took a screenshot to show how terrible he is. He did mention to Billy Tucci that he would help promote the next she-book, and he did also said, and when you're ready for the umbrella number 2, give us a shout out and we'll make sure you're well looked after. That sounds like a nice thing, especially considering that the first book made, 6 figures. IndieGoGo made a lot of money off of that. And so this is normal business behavior. You can say what you will about the contents of The Littlest Umbrella number 1, but frankly, if there was nothing illegal in the book, then you don't really have any claim. And then it becomes just this social pressure that you're trying to apply, which, just to remind you, it's really not that many people. They make you feel like it's a ton of people and that's going to affect your sales. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I saw going on. The IndieGoGo rep did delete his Twitter account. So he's gone off Twitter. And that's because that's the way that apparently they prefer it. And they're very happy. They're happy. They've got dancing Thanos here because that's important to chase people off the internet because they're being kind to people that you don't like. All right, full circle. We're going to trace this whole thing around. Here's the thing. When you see anybody complain that conservatives get blacklisted, and maybe in softer terms, there might not be an official blacklist, but it becomes very difficult to be a conservative and work in the arts. It doesn't help also that everybody always says, oh, conservatives don't work in the arts. There's this assumption that they don't, and that's self-perpetuating. So conservatives have to just keep their mouth shut. They do work in the arts. Not only that, but they want to work in the arts. The only way they can do that is to pretend not to be a conservative. Is that really the world that you want to live in? All right, so here's a headline for you. 8 out of 10 people working in the arts or culture said that they stay silent about supporting conservative ideologies because they risk being bullied and ostracized, new study reveals. Well, now hold on. It's not like anything like that ever happens in comics, right? Comics doesn't do that. They are different than the rest of arts. They would never. And again, full circle, we've got teen sensation Billy Tucci here explaining his own experience. He retweeted Martina Marcota, who said, from personal experience, the ostracization, say that 5 times fast, is career ending. What do we do about this? Billy Tucci explains, I've experienced this in person and was told by other pro friends that certain prominent Big Two editors wouldn't hire me because Tucci's a Republican, in quotes. This was in 2012. This was well before the election. It had been an open secret. Now there's so much backpedaling from it. But here, next time someone tells me there's not, there are a lot of conservatives that work in comics. No serious conservative has ever said that what about Billy Tucci? He's an extremely professional guy. He's not quiet about being Republican, but having said that, he's also not the kind of guy that is, constantly like shoving it in people's faces. In fact, there are much more left-leaning comic book creators that do go out of their way to shove it in your face online. Absolutely. But in this case, he was actually told that he wouldn't get hired because Tucci's a Republican. Same day, all right, we're starting to see more people, all of this is happening on the same day. More people are pointing out that this is a problem, okay? This is a problem. One internet activist on Twitter does not get to determine who can and can't be running IndieGoGo projects or who should be blacklisted. That's how blacklists are enforced. It's like this weird public shaming to try and get, somebody to capitulate to your desires. All right, so here, Dynamite's Nick Barussi, I hope I said his name right, decries cancel culture and retail minority that are loud and equivalent of keyboard cops. Owner and publisher of Dynamite Comics, and he had some interesting things to say on the matter. All right, and I read this entire article. It was on Newsarama. No, they don't know how to edit. There's question marks randomly everywhere. I mean, come on, more than just copy and paste. Beside that, though, yeah, he made some great points here. He said, I'm going to say something that may come across as too blunt, but feel it needs to be said. The overwhelming majority of retailers are communicative and are up for discussion at times. There is a retail minority that are loud and the equivalent to keyboard cops. Now, that struck a nerve because that is what was in the headline of this article, ignoring all the extremely reasonable stuff that he was saying, trying to highlight this as something that people shouldn't agree on. This is great. I just showed you an example of this actually happening in real time, and it's happened more, including to Dynamite Comics. I've seen it happen. All right, he continues. They may not realize it. That's generous. They may not realize that they're being keyboard cops, but they border on bullying. They prefer cancel culture over discussion and understand and mutual cooperation. Don't you understand? It is their way or the highway. All right, he continues. For the most part, from both their retail publishers and fan perspectives, this kind of cancel culture, as well as resistance to change, stifles experimentation and growth. Without experimentation, Marvel's Heroes Reborn would not have happened, which would not have led to Marvel Knights, which would not have led to Joe Quesada to become Marvel's editor-in-chief, and so on and so on. He basically goes through a string of events that was made possible because people were willing to take chances. And I think this is a good point. The cancel culture makes it so there are certain things that you're not allowed to do. It is setting up additional boundaries for business. That's not how things should run in a healthy way. I wonder how many potential editors-in-chief of Marvel or DC there possibly could have been, but that never were because they were conservative. It was an open secret until people started talking about it in more recent years, and then all of a sudden it has to become, again, a secret, or it never happened. There's all this denial. All right, here's another quote. He says, cancel culture for some has also been allowed politics and personal views to affect the comics you order or the experience your fans have at your store. We need to be open to everything. We need to service everyone. Let me give you a personal example. When Dynamite was fortunate enough to publish The Boys, when DC sold their series to us, there were retailers who did not like sensitive content. I had retailers threaten to stop ordering all of our titles if we didn't cancel The Boys, but we were passionate about the series and stood firm. That was an early threat of cancel culture. This does bring up the question, and I see it in the comments in this same article of, people saying, Well, that's boycotting. That's not cancel culture. It becomes cancel culture. Boycotts become cancel culture when it's used as a weapon for any slight, infringement upon your own opinions. If somebody does anything outside of line of what you think is acceptable, to try and not only just boycott them, but to encourage everybody else into boycotting them, otherwise they're boycotted and blacklisted as well. This is the problem. I'm going to say it again. Social media is what does this. It brings out the worst in people. It makes it possible for this kind of insanity to happen. Honestly, I got to say, I think what would make this better is if publishers cared more about diversity of thought as much as they do about other kinds of diversity. If they made it a point to say that it's okay to have conservative opinions and work for us as well. It's okay to be a writer and have conservative ideas. It's okay to publish a comic book through IndieGoGo and have conservative opinions. It's okay to do business with people that have conservative opinions. And you got to be even-handed about this. We have to agree on this much. But it's become way too much of the norm to instead just go full cancel culture and try to shut people up or scare them into silence so that you can essentially rule the roost and then claim that there's no blacklist. Well, if conservatives working in comics are already telling you that they've been blacklisted, they've had personal experiences with it, maybe it's a good idea to at least, at minimum, look into it, or at least make some kind of a statement and say, here at Marvel Comics, we're politically neutral. We support people and our creators having whatever political opinions they choose to have. We're here to make great comics. But that must be too much to ask. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this. I'm interested to know. Hats off to Billy Tucci for helping me make this video, unknowingly. If you liked my content, please like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And I will see you in the next video.